Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to my first 2012 video. I decided to just do a pretty simple card with some Copic markers. The first thing I did was I took some Nina Solar White cardstock and I did my outline freehand around the edges just because I didn't want to do a bunch of Copic coloring and then mess up the outline. So I did that first. And then I took the sentiment from a Hero Arts cupcake set and I'm just using some chalk ink, which I think works great with your clear stamps. Works really well. And this is a new set by Hero Arts. It's called Happy Birthday Cupcakes, and it comes with some matching Sizzix dies. And I've used them and they work great, but just for this card I decided to just keep it a one layer card and do some coloring on it. So I used Memento ink because I'm going to be using my Copic markers, which I got a ton for Christmas this year, so I'm really excited about that. So I slowed this down a little bit so that you could see how I color, and I've done this on several videos before. What I do first is I take the lightest color, so I'm using 3 shades of pink, and I'm going to do an all over color just to get some coverage, so I make sure I have coverage on all the different parts of the cupcake. And then I'm going to take the darkest colored pink, and my light is actually going to be coming from the right, so I'm going to have a thicker shadow on the left hand side and underneath the cherry than I will on the right. So you'll see I'll make just a thin shadow on the right hand side and a thicker shadow on the left. And now I'm taking my medium color pink and I'm going to go around the edges and just blend that in. And then I'm going to take the lightest color again that I started with, and I'm going to go over the whole thing just to make sure it's all blended. And I decided to take my zero colorless blender to remove a little bit of color just to have less color on that brightest area. And there I am going back with the darkest color just to add a little bit more dimension on the edge. Now I'm going to do the cupcake base, and I'm going to have 3 shades of brown. The first is the lightest, again the same technique where I do the all over coverage with the lightest color. And I do this because then I know for sure that I've covered all my white areas, and then it gives me something to blend. And so this is my darkest brown, which again the light's coming from the right, so I'm going to have my thick shadow on the left. And then I'm going to go in with the medium brown and I'm going to blend that dark brown in. And then I'm going to use the medium brown to create the shadow on the right hand side, which is not going to be quite as dark. And notice I forgot to add that medium to the top part, and so it's not quite blending, and I realized that, so I went back in, there I am, and put that medium brown in there. So you can see it really helps to have that medium color in there to get them all blended just right. Now my cherry is going to be kind of a dark pink red, so I'm going to have the dark pink all over, which is the same pink I used in the cupcake. And then I'm going to use a red to make it kind of a bright red cherry and go back in and blend with that pink. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm going to remove some color just to have that little shiny spot. Now the hearts on all my cupcakes are that pink color, so I did the dark pink and then the red on the edge and then blend it back in with that same pink color. And then the dots are the same color as the top of the frosting, and so in this case they're pink. So I use that same technique for all of the cupcakes. This bottom one is blue. These are the new blue ones that I got for Christmas, and I love the color. And so I have 3 shades of this color. The first is the lightest that I'm using all over, and then I'm going back in with the darkest. If you go to my blog, I took a photo of all the different colors I used, so you can see. Again, lightest, well, not quite as much shadow on the right hand side as on the left hand side, and here I am with my medium color. I'm going to create more of the shadow with the medium color on the right hand side so it's not quite so dark. Back in with the lightest color, and I actually forgot to add a little bit underneath that cherry, so I'm going to go back in and add that after. And I decided not to use a colorless blender on this one because I felt like I had enough contrast with the different shades I use. So I went out of the lines there, and so what I did was I took that colorless blender and it just removed the color for me. Now I'm adding my shadow, which is just the C1 Cool Gray. So I just outline it, again, thicker on the left-hand side than on the right. And then I took my colorless blender and I just went around the edges of that gray just to soften it up. And I did that on all 3 cupcakes. Now I'm just adhering it to some chocolate chip paper with my ATG gun. And I'm going to adhere it to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 folded card. And I'm taking some Ranger ice stickles to create some sprinkles on there. And that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed it, and welcome to 2012. Hopefully we'll have lots of great cards this year. Thanks for watching.